If you could only have 3 pocket knives to cover every eventual use for the rest of your life, what would they be? We're going to find some options today on Knife AQ episode 180 of the series where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson from the KnifeCenter. Welcome to Knife AQ. That's Thomas behind the camera as usual. We're going to mix up our normal format a little bit today because we're going to go shopping. Check out this question. First of all, if you're new, second of all, I guess, if you're new to this series, what we do is we take your questions down in the comment section below, and that is what we were doing today. So if you have a question, drop it below and it might get featured in a future episode. All right, Stressel Mental asks, question. Good, you're in the right place. Hi DC, I have a bit of an odd request / question. I have a lot of knives, everything from the gas station $15 range up to the $500 plus custom folders. My question to you is, if I were to sell everything and only get 3 knives, each sub $150, what would you get? A hard use work knife, any size, a casual EDC about 3 inches, and a small slim dress knife under 2 inches. Love watching you guys stay sharp. Okay.
I think if you sold everything, you'd have a lot more than $150 to work with.
Well, maybe he's trying to simplify his life, which I understand. And there's something nice about the exercise of seeing what you can do with less. I've talked about my 3 knife combo. If I were in this situation before, it doesn't quite fit your criteria here, but I'll mention it anyway. My full-size Benchmade Presidio, my tactile knife Rockwall, and my Spyderco Lil Native slip joint. If I could only have those 3 folders, I'd be okay. But let's do this. Let's check out your $150 budget for each. I'm going to find some options on the website. We're going to go pull them from the warehouse and take a look. But I'm also going to do the least expensive way to do this as well, in addition to the budget, which is a reasonable budget for good knives, quite honestly. So, shall we get into it?
I suppose.
All right. Got the KnifeCenter's website up right here. Let's scroll down, go into folding knives. We're going to, well, first of all, let's click the in stock button so we know we can pull something from the website. I'm going to start with your formal knife because a dress knife with an under 2-inch blade, that's going to eliminate a lot. So let's use the filters here. Let's set the price range at 0 to 150 since that was what you were looking for. Go. And let's then scroll down, filter the blade length. Here we go, 0 to 2. Well, let's do 1.5 to 2 inches. Go. Let's see what we've got. All right, slim dress knife. Well, right here at the top already, the chive would be a decent, more affordable option, but let's go sort it high to low. Let's see what's available at the top end. Slim dress knife, 2 inches. Scrolling through. The Reich Hummingbird is an interesting one. It's decidedly mini, however. It's like a 1.5-inch blade, but let's open that up to have that tab there. The Bestech Tulip's kind of interesting. Again, quite small. Not bad. On sale at the moment for $113. It's interesting. All right, not really classy. Moki has some good stuff. I don't know how. I've never held that mini pendant knife. That could be good. Makusta is also interesting. All right, I'm seeing more here than I thought we would. The Kershaw launches are not very slim and gentlemanly, so we're not going to go with one of those. Cool as they are, however. Trapper Stubby's interesting. We could always go with a classic slip joint. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Check that out. We've got a chive here with a Damascus blade. I'm really not sure which direction to take this, Thomas. And you probably aren't either.
Direction is scroll down.
The Nibbler's nice, but these versions are a little more colorful. I like the classier versions, but those are going to go up above the price range we're looking at. The Ladybug exclusive. That's a classy one with that pack of wood handles. That could be good. Quite small, however. Nothing's really actually hitting close to the 2-inch length. It's all coming in significantly less. The G Sakai money clips are cool too. But I don't want that. I don't want to go with that direction. Some more Makusta. It's going to be more difficult than I thought. Although I am seeing more options than I thought. I did just say that too, so I don't know. What do we believe? Yeah, there's something classic about a chive. I'm going to open that up, narrow it down. We're starting to get into the more affordable range here, so we're going to hit the least expensive options hit options for the least expensive way to do this too. You know what? I'm going to open up this plain Jane unadorned G Sakai money clip. We're going to take a look at that too. The peck knife, perhaps? The buck colleague. I haven't seen one of those in a while. Let's open that up. All right, let's go through the options here real quick. The Reich Hummingbird, very keychain sized. The Bestech Tulip, a little bit less keychain sized, even though it is pretty small. I'm going to take the Reich out because the Bestech seems a little more interesting to me. The Moki Mini Pendant, that's going to be a neck knife, not really a pocket knife, although you could slip it in your pocket, but I'm going to nix that as well. The Makusta, that's an interesting one. Let's take a look at some pictures here. The Carta handles, I'm guessing that's probably a VG10 core Damascus. Whoa, that's an interesting back half. Huh. That's cool, but doesn't strike me as classy. So we're going to eliminate that one.
You're two-faced, but you want a knife.
Right, exactly. The Urban Trapper Stubby's an interesting one. You know, I don't usually consider black G10 to be classy per se, but it is kind of understated. I'm digging that. All right, that's still in contention. I don't want to go to slip joint. I'm going to keep with the locking knife. The chive, I think that's in with a shout for the lower end option here. The ladybug, I like the ladybug a lot. That's a cool knife, but it's also a keychain knife. I want a knife with a pocket clip. I've decided right now. The tulip, does that have a pocket clip? Yes, it does. So that's still in. The chive on the lesser end, that's a good one. The money clip from G Sakai. This is cool. It's VG10 steel, frame lock, made in Japan. I like that. In fact, I'm going to pick that over the chive. It's got better steel. We got 420 HC on the chive, which is fine, but VG10 is certainly a bit nicer. Let's see the peck. Same thing. It's less expensive, but we've got a fair bit better steel on the G Sakai. The colleague, okay, 440A, but $22. Definitely seems pretty classy though. What do we think? Thomas, any opinions?
None.
About this anyway.
Could have been reversing that.
Could have been, but why would you ever do that? All right, for this one, we're gonna go with the Urban Trapper Stubby on the higher end and the money clip for the lower end. Actually, both together are just barely over the $150 budget for the standard. All right. We'll pull those here in a minute and take a look. Now, let's switch things up. Now we're going to look at, I'm going to go for the big work knife that you mentioned. I'm going to hit the two sides and then find the right knife to fit in the middle of them. So a hard use work knife, any size. I think I want something that is going to be a little bit tactical as well. Or a little bit of everything, like some tactical uses, maybe some outdoor uses, but just a hard use knife with a little bit of like sticky pokey in its DNA, shall we? All right, price range again, 1 to 150. And what kind of length am I thinking here? Like at least 3.5 inches. So let's plug in minimum length of 3.4. So we catch anything, it's like 3.48 or something. And let's go 4.5, just see what we got. Click. Oh yeah, I got to do in stock too. Didn't do that yet. All right, let's sort high to low. Got a lot more results in this range than the last one, so this might take a little longer to get up. Wait a minute, it didn't take the price range. That's decidedly out of budget. That's like 2.5 of Thomas's truck right there. More than that? 3 Thomas's trucks? Many Thomas's trucks. All right, let's try again. Here we go. Ooh, these Echo Trolls from Custom Knife Factory are pretty new, but I do like those. That's already a good option right off the top of the bat. Cryo's an interesting one. We got like 1,500 results here. We're definitely not going to go through all of them. I'll spare you all of that. But let me find some of the sort of my favorites here. The SogTac AUs are pretty cool. They're an auto though. I probably wouldn't want to stick with that if it's 3 only. There is another version of it, however. SR1, big, beefy for sure. Maybe a big banter. You know what? There's a lot of choices here. Let me filter things down a little bit more. If you were to describe that category, one of my first like go-to brands that I feel like would fit would be Cold Steel. So let's check out the Cold Steel knives that meet these criteria. That brings us down to a much more manageable number of results here. AD10 is cool. AD10 is cool. AD15 is cooler in my opinion, but it's probably outside of budget. But let's open that up, see what we got. Ooh, you know what though? I think I like the Recon 1 more than the AD10 because it's got a little bit better cutting geometry, I would say. So let's get rid of the AD10. And in fact, I'm gonna nix the big banter as well already. I want something bigger. I want something big. Yeah, these are nice. You know, Ultimate Hunter is another good choice. I like those. They're very comfortable. I think they're a better bargain than the AD10, however. Wait, did I just say? Oh, we've got an AD15 Lite in here. I don't hate that. OS 10, which is fine. It's good stuff. Yeah. I like the ambidextrousness of it. I like the finger safe operation of that lock too. The large Voyager drop point could be a great choice on the budget side of things here. In fact, I mean, that's at $57. That is a heck of a lot of knife. 4-inch blade, OS 10. I think I've decided on the budget option there, so we're definitely going to go with that. All right, we could definitely spend a lot of time going through the 1,500 results, but I'm not going to put you folks through that. I'm happy with these Cold Steels here. The large Voyager drop point for the more affordable option, and I'm going to go with the Recon 1 spear point for the more expensive option. I do like the AD15. It sits right in the middle there. It's got the OS 10, and let's do the upgrade to S35 on the Recon 1. Cool. All right. Now the thing that's going to have probably the yeah, we'll get rid of that guy too. I like these options. This next segment is going to be even more results. So, all right, now for the casual EDC around 3 inches, I've got my filters reset, and I'm going to go blade length 275 to 325 and see what we come up with. Yeah, almost 2,000 results here. Price high to low. Let's see what's at the top end. Let's see. So what do I have so far, actually? So the Gents knife, I've got both. Well, one's a liner lock, one's a frame lock. The hardworking knife, big hardworking knife, both are triad locks or variation on the back lock, essentially. So I'm going to go, you know what I want here? Again, if this were my money, if I wanted my general 3-ish inch EDC, I want something with a crossbar lock. So I'm going to select that in the lock types. And that brings it into a way more manageable number, about 116. There's a lot of good stuff in this range. I mean, this top row is excellent here already. That Olight, the Rubato 4 is actually really cool. We've got our exclusive Hectare with S90V. That's a lot of edge retention. The Bel Air, though, ooh, that is very enticing. Let me open both of these real quick. The Carter, I love the Carter. Like, I know a lot of folks kind of poo-poo the James brand a little bit, but I love the clean design of the Carter. But VG10 is not going to hold a candle to your S90 or your MagnaCut. So let's keep scrolling a little bit. The Deca is always a great option. Open up one of those.
We got the other one.
Yeah, I don't want no reverse Tontos. No reverse Tontos here. Drop point. In fact, let's make Thomas's life more miserable. Drop points only.
You are evil.
The Bel Air is still in here. I would argue that's not a drop point. It's more of a modified Warncliffe, but hey, what do I know? Our exclusive drop bear. Yeah, that's a really good one. The S90V in burlap especially, but you could also get 20 CV in blue. Aluminum's also an option. The Lander 2 is a pretty good one, a little bit over that 3-inch mark. Let's throw that in there. I might have to decide this one like on the table. And we got the Lander 3 on the slightly smaller side. I'm gonna go with the 2. I like the 2 in there. Plus, like 3 1/4 inches is significantly smaller than the 4 inches of the bigger knife I have. So there's definitely plenty of daylight between the two. Altair is not bad, 154 cm. Another version of the Rubato 4. More drop bears. Aegis. That Vault is real nice from QSP, definitely. You know, I've got some good options on the top end. Let me filter from the low. The Sacra is an awesome knife from Real Steel. It sits like right in the middle of this price range. Let's go low to high. Let me pick an inexpensive one. The Highbrow, I don't really want an assisted knife. Okay, all right. The Kihan DC, phenomenal small knife. Not smallish, actually. It actually has a feeling of a bit more girth to it. Like it's got some meat behind it. But let's click that. The Hectare is always good. Let's click the green one just for kicks. I like green. This Rubato 3 I have held. I like it. At $50 is pretty good. I think it's got AUS-10 steel. It's really nice. Let's see. Covalents are cool. Raccoons are very cool. The cool thing about the Raccoon here is it can kind of flex a little bit bigger. Kind of like the drop bear, actually, in that regard. These SRMs are really nice. We're starting to get a little bit higher up there in price. It's probably not the least expensive option we can go with. Let's get back to, let's narrow down the expensive ones. The Hectare is cool. The Kershaw is, the Bel Air is phenomenal. Do we have the other version in stock today? No, we don't. I'd rather have that version, but this is nice. The Deca, I like a Deca, but I want to go with the drop points. We're getting rid of that. For that reason also, as much as I like the Bel Air, it's not a drop point. I don't care what the website says. We're going to get rid of that. Brings us down to 3. The Lander 2, the Drop Bear exclusive, or the Hectare exclusive. Let's see, 2 S90Vs. Between the two, I like the Drop Bear better, so we're going to go with that. The Lander 2. The Lander 2 also made by Kaiser, actually. For NAFs.
Cool.
Yeah, so now you know. The Lander 2 is cool, but man, that drop bear is so sweet. We're going to go with the drop bear. All right, get rid of this window. Least expensive. All right, Kihan or Hectare or Rubato 3 or Vosteed. Let's do it under $50. So let's get rid of the Vosteed here. So we got the Rubato 3, 3-inch blade, stainless steel handles, 10CR stainless. So that's roughly VG10 in terms of its capabilities. We've got RPM 9 on the Hectare, broader drop point blade, and we've got the Kihan DC. The Kihan, I think, here is the best bargain. You get the most for the least out of any of these 3, but it feels like almost like a beefier knife, which is a good thing if that's what you want, but it's not quite what we're going for here. So let's see, Hectare or Rubato 3. I'm going to pull both of them, and we'll make a decision on the table between those. All right, let's go pull these knives and take a look at them. All right, here we go. We've got the picks in front of us. Let's take a look at the expensive, or the expensiver combo first. Here we've got that Urban Trapper Stubby from Boker, designed by Brad Zinker. 107 and some change. You've got VG10 steel, a sub 2-inch clip point blade, thin enough with a high flat grind. It's nice and slicey. Now the only downside to this is on a blade length this small, this amount of belly could kind of get in the way sometimes. If you're kind of cutting through longer things, if you have to, you might slip out of the cut. A less bellied blade shape might be a little more appropriate at this size, but this was the knife that was speaking to me today on the shopping trip. So I'm sticking with it. The stonewash finish should look good for a while. The black G10 is classy enough, but this will flex into less formal rolls quite easily. Deep carry pocket clip keeps it nice and subtle. Flipping action. It's a small knife, but it still flips really well, as you can see. Grip, it's a 2-finger grip for me. I'm not getting any more than those 2 fingers on it. I could kind of choke up around the flipper tab there, get a 3rd finger on that, but this is never a grip that I'm gonna need with this size of knife. It's just not what it's made to do. Small cuts, little tags, opening letters, that sort of thing. However, it should be pretty good. Opposite end of the spectrum capability-wise, the Recon 1. What a cool knife. 125, just under that right now. 4-inch S35 VN blade. I went with the spear point version because, that's how I roll. I like the tapering spine, especially for getting under things and running along, lifting the tip up and running along something to kind of zipper things open. That's always nice. The triad lock, super strong. Lot you can do with this mechanism when it comes to the hard use side of things. G10 for the handles, a decidedly kind of forward pointing tactical grip in the standard hold right here. But in the days before finger choils reigned supreme, you used to see things like this, the ricasso of the blade and the leading edge of the handle, creating a flat spot. That is a great spot for your index finger to choke up on. And if I were taking this folder camping, for example, that would be a fantastic grip for carving. Fine detail right there at the heel of the blade, and more power too when you really need to get your force as close to the behind the edge as you can for maximum transmission of the force. That's going to be very nice. That's a great do-everything blade shape. It's got a little bit of the sticky pokey as we were talking about earlier, but it's versatile enough for outdoor use, and any kind of real hard use stuff should be really nice. And then for the day-to-day, most everyday type of carry, as opposed to those 2 more specialized knives there, I couldn't be more happy with the Kaiser Drop Bear, especially in this exclusive version right here. It comes in just under 140 bucks. You've got a spear point, actually technically not a spear point, the tip is just below the center line. A drop point blade in S90V, which means you've got a ton of edge retention. Burlap micarta, always looks cool. I love the deep carry pocket clip here with the nice kind of softened edges around the grip spot right here, which means it is very comfortable indeed in a wide variety of grips. And the handle here is one of those that, it feels a little bit bigger than the, 3-inch blade, kind of genre might normally get you. Because, if I want a little bit more power, without going to the big 4-inch blade, this knife could still pull it off. And yet, when you need it to be, or when you want it to be small, it's small enough. When you need it to feel big, it feels big too. Great action. The crossbar lock is finger safe closing and a lot of fun to operate. Just a phenomenal knife all around, no matter which one you pick, but I'm partial to this one right here. That's a cool trio of knives right there that, accepting your kitchen knives and any fixed blades you might have, that set of folding knives right there could probably be satisfying for a long, long time. It could certainly do everything I would need it to do. But let's talk about even more budget options now. It would have been cool if I'd challenged myself to get all 3 of the more affordable ones under the $150 mark. But as such, right now, I'm coming in at like $166, so it's not too bad. But let's get into it. I do have the G Sakai money clip right here at 53 bucks, 1.6-inch blade, VG10 steel, hollow ground, little hint of recurve, drop point again because I'm basic and I like that. Stainless steel handles with a frame lock and a wide pocket clip. It is decidedly, you can one-hand open it, but you gotta be very deliberate and it's a little awkward. This is more of a 2-hand opener. So while I was over in the warehouse pulling these knives, I was having second thoughts, so I did pull a chive as well. Coming in on sale right now for $58.95. Normal price is a little bit higher. Here you go, 1.9-inch blade, 420 steel, stainless steel frame lock, incorrectly identified it as a liner lock earlier. Assisted opening action, more recurve, so a little bit more difficult to sharpen than the G Sakai, again, like a hollow grind. This is actually speaking to me a little more right now than the G Sakai. Yes, you've got a better blade steel on the G Sakai, but I feel like I could use the blade on the chive a little bit better. I've got a little more grip, 2.5 fingers versus 2 on the G Sakai. And it's, you know, much more easily opened with one hand than the G Sakai, and I like that. It doesn't have a deep carry clip, which is something that I really look for in a formal knife. And I'm not even sure what the aftermarket looks like for clips in terms of the chive. I know you can get stuff for the leak all day long. I'm not sure about this. I'll have to look into that. But this is a really cool little knife. It is a classic for a reason. It's fun, and it looks a little bit different and a little bit unexpected, but still classy. So I'm going with that. And I save a little bit of money right now too on that. For the big knife, the Voyager is almost, you know, they're not identical knives, but the Voyager always has kind of felt like a more affordable, you know, counterpart to the Recon series. I mean, just look at the two of them right here next to each other. Eventually. Very similar, right? Not identical, obviously, but a lot of similar traits going on. Went with the 4-inch drop point here. $56.95 for this 4-inch AUS 10 blade and a triad lock is like stupid good value, quite honestly. Like the elliptical shape to the drop point here, it's a little bit more interesting than just a basic drop point, even though, like I said, I'm basic, I admit it. Injection molded handles, you've got the forward pointing blade when you're choked back here, but you've got the ability to bring your index finger up, the same type of flattened ricasso / pivot area that lets you get an awesome small grip, or an awesome power grip on the knife like so. I think that's really great. Love the strength of the triad lock here. This thing should last you a good long time as well. All right, now for the everyday 3-ish inch knife. I've got two. I've got the Hectare here, RPM 9 steels, good stuff. $45. Very broad drop point blade. Actually, kind of. It's almost like an upside down drop. That's fun. Their crossbar lock is quite good. You've got the G10 handles. The green is fun. If you don't like green, there are other flavors. I happen to like the sour apple flavor of this one. Deep carry pocket clip, of course, is quite nice. Compared that, or the other option here is the Rubato 3 from Olight. You've got a 3-inch blade with 10CR stainless, which, as mentioned, is sort of like your VG10 generally, whereas the RPM 9 is kind of a spray-formed version of 9CR stainless steel. So you should get a bit more toughness than the standard 9CR. Edge retention, however, would probably go to the Rubato 3, I would imagine. Steel handles, smaller handles than the CJRB. This one's where things get interesting. You've got smaller handles, but a little bit more edge, as you can see right there, huh? A little bit more edge and better edge holding steel. And the fact that this is a 3-inch knife and the Hectare is just over 3 inches means I could take the Rubato 3 more places, generally speaking, especially a few places around where I live. The action is great on the crossbar lock. You've got a reversible clip. What do you think? I think that's the combo right here. I'm going to take the CJRB, much as I love it, and the G Sakai off the table. There is my affordable knife trio, coming in, as mentioned, just about $166 right now in price, versus the combined prices here is much higher. I didn't combine the price. Maybe we'll put a graphic up to show you how much that version is right there. What do you think? Do you like these? Would you mix and match between the two, or would you pick something completely different? Let me know down in the comments. And this being our FAQ series, keep your questions coming in the comments as well. Next week, our format will probably be more like it normally is, but we wanted to mix things up for episode 180, try something a little bit different. I thought it was a little fun, but I need your feedback too. Let me know what you think down there. If you want to get your hands on any of the knives you saw right here, you can click the links in the description. That'll take you to KnifeCenter.com, or just head over there for any of the other stuff that was in the open tabs you might be able to see. And while you're over there, don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because the least thing we can do when you buy one of our knives today is give you some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera. We're signing off. See you next time.